You must follow the rules.
You know, ma'am, that is the exact thing that somebody's always telling me about the rules. Just when I'm thinking of breaking every one of them.
At 18, Gary Sinise first dedicated himself to acting when he co-founded the acclaimed Steppenwolf Theater Company in Chicago. It was his 1994 Oscar nomination as Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump that made him a household name. Since then, his film and television projects have included Apollo 13, Ransom, Truman, and George Wallace. Here is a look at some of those movies.
Lieutenant Dan!
They gave you the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yes, sir, they surely did.
They gave you an imbecile, a moron who goes on television and makes a fool out of himself in front of the whole damn country the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's just perfect.
In the name of the greatest people that have ever trod this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
Anytime your kid leaves this house to go to school, go play, see a friend, to buy a comic book, you're gonna have to ask yourself, is today Jimmy Shaker Day? Listen to me, goddammit! Don't you even look at her. I don't care what she says or what she does. She's a rat trap if I ever seen one.
But I wasn't doing nothing.
No, but when she was shoving her legs around, you weren't looking the other way, neither. You keep away from her.
We believe that all men are created equal and have the right to equal treatment under the law. Therefore, I have written an executive order to correct a great injustice and lay the foundation for civil rights laws that secure those rights to men of all colors and creeds in all places and at all times.
I mean, I know it's their ass if I get sick up there, but I mean, Jesus. Swigert, he'll be fine. He's strong. It'll be a hell of a mission, one for the books.
This month, he returns to theater, starring in a highly anticipated Broadway production of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I am pleased to have him back on this program. Welcome back.
Thank you, Charlie. Good to be here.
Congratulations on coming here with this really remarkable play.
Thank you, thank you. It's good to be back. It's been 11 years since I've acted in New York. I did The Grapes of Wrath in 1990.
How does someone who has all the film opportunities you have work it in? I mean, do you have to plan ahead? Do you say, listen, I don't care what, every once in a while I got to get back?
Kind of. I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm making a good enough living in the movie business now that I can sort of look ahead and say, well, I know I'm going to have enough money, in the bank because I've been, working steadily in the movie business, so that a year from now we pick a project and I can put away that time and go to work on it. That's exactly what we did with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We said we were going to do it in Chicago last year, which we did in the spring. We had a great run at Steppenwolf there, and then we went over to London and did it last summer in London, and then we were able to kind of look forward and pick a time and go to work on getting it to Broadway.
What's the pull of the theater audience for you, or the theater production?
Well, that's where that's where my work comes from. Founding a theater, working with actors on stage over a long period of time is just something that I've done, so much. I started doing plays in high school. you know, worked for many years in the theater exclusively without doing movies. I didn't act in my first movie until I was, you know, 10 years ago or something. Yeah. So I wasn't one of those actors that started in their early 20s doing movies, and I've been doing them for 25 years. I've only done movies for about 10 years, and so all the work up until that point was exclusively theater work, primarily as an actor, and some as a director and an artistic director of the theater.
But what the charge is, it's live, it's an audience there, it goes from, you know, from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3, what is it? Or Act 1, Act 2, maybe.
Well, yeah, it's the completion of a story and within 2 hours. Yeah. You know, part of that. I think another big part of it is the control factor that you have on stage as an actor. It's yours. It's, you know, in film you deliver a scene one day, and then you do another scene the next day, and you deliver scenes and pieces of scenes and things like that, and you give all this material, and then maybe a year later or whatever, you see what it ended up like.
Yeah.
And you hope that the director, you know, is, you know, you trust the director, and then that he's going to piece together the performance that will make you proud. In the theater, you're totally in control of that, and it's me up there that's going to sink or swim, and I like that.
How often have you found in film that the director didn't pierce it together to bring out the performance that you thought you'd given?
Well,
or tell the story you thought you'd given?
In film?
Yeah.
I have been fortunate because I've worked with some fine directors, and I've been primarily, you know, basically pretty proud of the work and the results of the work. Certainly, we were talking there earlier about George Wallace, and
yeah.
That was a particular project that I put every ounce into, and worked very collaboratively with John Frankenheimer, the director, on it, and really trusted him, and he put the film together that I would have wanted it to be. Truman and Of Mice and Men, of course, was me directing, so you know, it was my fault all the way around, whatever happened with that. But usually I'm not in the situation to control my own film performance, so you just have to hope that it all works out. There have been a few situations that have been, you know, disappointing, but more often than not, I've been pretty pleased with the way things have turned out.
I mean, sometimes it's a tough call for a director because of time, because of whatever vision, I guess, as to how much of a performance. I remember there was a very good actor was in here who felt like that the director did not use where he thought he just hit a home run. You know, didn't use that part of his performance.
Well, sometimes I remember a couple of scenes in one of the early films that I did that I thought if they would have edited this performance a little bit better, the performance would have actually, the character would have made the movie better. Not just the addition of the character work and what that character meant to the story would have made the movie better, I thought.
For those who haven't seen it, what is it about? In other words, it's a story of a mental institution. It's a story of McMurphy who arrives at this hospital and he changes it. But what is it about? And in the sense, he's almost like the guy in the white shirt, white hat, who rides into the town and cleans it up. And
that's very much what it is. Mythic in that way. You know, McMurphy is the ultimate sort of American rebel.
Yeah.
He's, you know, this was written in the early '60s. Things were changing, times were changing, and it was written by Ken Kesey.
Yeah, right.
You know? And McMurphy to Kesey is a great, great American hero, but he's the great anti-hero, of course, because he's, you know, he's a bit of a narcissist, he's a con man, he's a gambler, he's a hustler, he's a boozer, he's all these wild things, and he's very much out for himself. And he comes into this institution where he's pretended to be crazy so he could get off the work farm and get out of, you know, like digging ditches and things like that. He's you know, pretending to be crazy, so they send him to this mental institution for evaluation, and he walks in and he sees this as like the greatest thing that he's ever seen. He's going to make so much money off these guys. It's just, he sees suckers everywhere, you know. And through the course of the story, McMurphy gives of himself. He learns to give rather than just take. And because of that, he elevates the lives of all these patients and changes them. And it very much is like the great Western where you've got the oppressive sheriff, Nurse Ratched, you know, dominating and keeping the spirits of the people in the town, you know, very contained. And in comes the Lone Rider and liberates the town and sacrifices himself for his buddies. And he learns to love these guys, and they become stronger because of it. And in the novel, you know, at the end of the novel, after, you know, I don't want to give anything away, sure, but something happens to McMurphy, he's out of the story, and at the end of the novel, most of the patients leave the institution. Most of them are voluntary inmates, right, you know, patients. They've checked themselves in because they can't deal with society and the outside world. And McMurphy finds this out through the course of the story, and he can't believe that they'd want to be in here. He doesn't understand what's wrong with them. They don't seem like any crazier than anybody else he deals with. But they've all got their problems. And, you know, in the novel, they all leave. Most of them leave at the end of the story, and they become stronger, and they learn something about themselves.
Roll tape. This is when McMurphy arrives at the institution. Here it is. Take a look.
You get the hell away from me or I'll take... Good morning, buddies. It's a mighty nice fall day. Damn, what a sorry-looking bug.
Now, see here, Mr.
Get away from me, boy. Just give me a minute to look my new home over, will you? What the hell? I've never been to the Institute of Psychology before. My name is McMurphy, buddy. R.P. McMurphy, and I'm a gambling fool. What's this you're playing here? Pinochle. Jesus, ain't you got a straight deck around here? Well, see, here we go, bro, on my own, just in case. Every card a picture.
He's more of a cowboy here, too.
Yeah, that's the way he's written, and I just play, you know, I play what's written in the script and try to do my own thing with it.
Yeah, and he's ready to start taking their money.
Oh, he sees a bunch of suckers there. He's going to pull the cards out and he's going to start dealing, and let's make some money. Yeah.
Why is it so popular?
It's a wonderful story. I mean, you know, it's wonderful to see on stage when you can see people change and when human beings affect each other and they change because of it. Well, this is a story that's got so much of that in there, and so many of them do, and you fall in love with these characters because they've got their own problems. You know, we identify with people that are fragile, and McMurphy is not fragile at all. He's a big blowhard. You know, he comes in, he's a strong, dominating character, and these guys, one of the characters, Dale Harding, describes them as being rabbits. They're all little rabbits hiding from the wolf. Mm. And they learn to stand up for themselves and through the course of this story. And it's wonderful to see that as an audience, I think. It touches us. It touches
It
us
is a
deeply.
kind of metaphor, too, for society at large.
Sure.
You know? I mean,
yeah.
too many of us are too much, sort of have settled into where we are and what we do, and, you know, and our lives have become a certain kind of, have a certain kind of sameness to them, you know, a certain kind of conventionality.
I think so. I think a lot of people wrestle with their own self-esteem. You know, we all grow up in a certain way, and too many of us grow up with a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-confidence, and we find that in different ways. We go searching for
or
it.
it's beaten out of you one way or the other.
It's
you know?
beaten out of you. It was never given to you.
Right, exactly.
Or
Frequently,
whatever.
yeah.
I, as a parent, if I can do one thing for my kids, it's try to give them a sense of, you know, confidence about themselves.
I thought that,
self-esteem. You know.
I don't know about you, but this kind of thing appeals to me. When Russell Crowe, when he accepted, did you see the acceptance of the Academy Award? You know, when he said this thing, for those people, you know, who don't, on the other side of the tracks, on the other side of life, who don't think they can do it.
It's possible.
It is possible. There is hope. There is some sense of you take command.
That's very much this story. It's uplifting in that way. First of all, it's very, very funny. You know, the play is extremely entertaining and very funny. But because we get involved with these characters so specifically, and we identify with them, you can see who each one of them are and the afflictions that they're all going through.
Right.
And you watch them kind of come out of their shells through the course of the story, and it's very, very moving in that way.
Did you watch or not watch the Jack's performance before you did this? Did you go back to it and look at it, or did you specifically want to stay away from it?
I know it really well. Anyway, I mean, I knew the performance inside out when I was a kid, and I have lots of images of Jack's performance in my head. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and certainly one that as a young theater student, I studied. I had a lot of movies, a lot of movie acting that I was watching in those days that were inspiring to me, and that was one of them. And so I didn't have to go back and watch it. I was going to do my own thing. I'm a different actor.
Right. Take a look at this. This is Nurse Ratched, and then we're going to show in just a moment, if they'll rack it up, Nicholson in his performance. Here is Nurse Ratched explaining to Mr. Murphy that he must follow the rules.
Mr. McMurray.
Hey, howdy, ma'am.
I'll take that. Aide Warren tells me you're being difficult.
Me?
I understand you refuse to take your admission shower.
Well, after that, ma'am, they showered me at the courthouse, and last night at the jail, and I swear they would have washed my ears for me on the way over if they could have found the facilities.
That's quite amusing, Mr. McMurray, but you must realize that our policies are engineered for your cure, which means cooperation.
Oh, ma'am, I'll cooperate from hell to Thursday, but you wouldn't want me to be unpolite. I had to get acquainted with my new buddies there.
Oh, please understand. I do appreciate how you've taken it upon yourself to orient with the other patients. But everything in its own time. You must follow the rules.
You know, ma'am, that is the exact thing that somebody's always telling me about the rules. Just when I'm thinking of breaking every one of them.
There you go. That's it, isn't it? You must follow the rules.
Follow the rules, and he says, he says, somebody's always telling me that, just when I'm thinking of breaking every one of them.
Do you, when you're in a performance like this, in which you're such the center of action, how much do the lines vary at all for you? I mean, do you forget? It's the old age-old question about how do you remember all the lines? But after you get it down, is there a moment where you can ad-lib around it, but you forget?
Yeah, there are moments in the story where we have to ad-lib some things because we want life to be going on underneath certain things. So we do throw in different things here and there, but basically the structure of it is what Dale Wasserman wrote, and that's our blueprint for everything that we do.
You sold out in Chicago, sold out in London.
Mm-hmm.
The performance here at the opens April 8th at the Royal Theater. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Pleasure to
Joe.
see you.
Great to
Very
be
much.
here.
Gary Sinise, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Thank you for watching. See you next time.